Should be good to go. E-commerce and cross-border trade are spaces that are evolving very fast, sometimes due to technologies such as blockchain, augmented reality, virtual reality, artificial intelligence, and sometimes due to changes in the government policies. Please bear in mind, I did not name Trump or tariff. and that keeps e-commerce leaders always on their toes. Hi, this is Pankaj Gupta from EthAum Venture Partners. We are a deep tech revenue scaler and fund based in Singapore with approximately 120 startups in the portfolio from different parts of the world, stages, and sectors. Since e-commerce is going through very interesting times, HomeRoots and EthAum wanted to brainstorm with the leaders themselves and learn from their insights. We are going to talk about different kind of innovations, different kind of AI impact on the industry, and also the policies, regulations that may be impacting or transforming or disrupting the e-commerce industry. We are thrilled to host this panel to discuss innovations transforming the e-commerce space with a very diverse and global panel. To start the introduction, I would request Karl to first go ahead and introduce himself. Probably 30 to 45 seconds, Karl.
Okay, absolutely, Pankaj. So this is Karl, founder and CEO of Sourcey. What we do is really simple. We help consumer brands, right? E-commerce brands as well as offline brands develop and source products. And the way we do it is we basically have an AI that can analyze all the e-commerce and social media insights, translate all these insights into product recommendations. And then we have manufacturing partners who can basically make all these products and ship the products to the brand's warehouse, right? So that they can go to market faster than everyone else and enjoy basically the first mover advantage. That's what we do.
Fantastic, Karl. Appreciate it. And because you're working with so many manufacturers in Asia, I'm sure we will get a lot of interesting insights from your side today. Thanks a lot, Karl, for joining in. Veena, may I request you to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Thanks, Pankaj. So I'm Veena. I'm the founder of Global Sextant, which is a consulting firm that works with consumer goods companies as well as e-commerce in the FMCG sector. I also previously had my own tech startup, which had an AI-driven product, which was in the demand planning space. And it also gave salespeople a heads up on how much to order. And before that, I had about 20 years in the consumer goods space working for companies like PepsiCo, Diageo, and the likes of them. So very deeply and embedded in the industry. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Amazing. Really appreciate your presence today, Veena. And you have moved yourself from corporate life to the startup world and now management consulting ecosystem.
Yes, but in the startup area as well. So most of my clients are in startups.
Amazing, amazing.
Yes.
So I'm sure because of your this very diverse learning that you have had throughout your professional career, I'm sure we are going to get a lot of interesting insights from you as well. Thanks a lot, Veena, for joining in. Nikita, please.
Thanks, Pankaj.
Thank you, Pankaj. So this is Nikita Katyal. I have around 12 years of experience. I'm currently heading AI and analytics team at Central Retail Group, Thailand. It's one of the biggest retailer here. And before that, I have worked with multiple retailers like Target, Lowe's, and Macro in Thailand. So it's been a long journey with only e-commerce and retail. Thank you.
Hey, thanks a lot, Nikita. Really appreciate your presence today. And Gil is also working with a bunch of these big retailers in the US. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of common things to talk about.
US and Thailand, that's it.
Yes, in Thailand.
All the retailers.
Thanks a lot, Nikita. Terry, could you please go next?
Sure, thank you. Hello, everyone. Terry Chan, based in Hong Kong. More than 25 years of experience supporting enterprises, brand, company in Hong Kong to the e-commerce market, in particular Southeast Asia. I have several heads. One of it is Just Group. You can see from the virtual background. Just Group, we have at least 3 pillars of service. We have a masterclass, we have a consultancy, and we work with a lot of partners to provide a comprehensive solution to the Southeast Asia market. Also, we established a Hong Kong E-Com Supply Chain Association back in 2017, We are the first and the only one in Hong Kong tailored for the executive who are working in the e-commerce, retail, supply chain, and Southeast Asia oriented. We build a platform to share experience and knowledge. We do organize in regular events, and also we provide advisory to a lot of organizations. Apart from that, we are advisor, mentor for some government-related organization here in Hong Kong and SCA. But prior to that, I work in Lazada, Alibaba Group, and we are the first pioneer to develop the Southeast Asia e-commerce market. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Terry. And since you are interacting with a bunch of manufacturers in the space from Asia, I'm sure you have heard a lot of insights from these manufacturers as well in your association. So would love to hear your insights as well. Faheem, please.
Faheem here. I'm head of growth at Shaloop Group. I'm not sure if the name is familiar with you people, but just to explain a little bit more. So Shaloop Group is one of the largest retail companies in the Middle East. And I'm quite certain that it's also one of the largest, and if not largest, luxury retail companies here in the Middle East. So we operate globally, but our main presence is in the GCC, so UAE, KSA, Kuwait, Qatar, Egypt as well. And we also have business in South America. So we operate more than 800 retail stores. So likes of LVMH, Chanel, Dior, Makeup Forever, L'Occitane, a lot of big luxury beauty and fashion retailers and brands. And I'm heading growth for beauty specifically. So I look after beauty market and growth for online business. All in all, in the group, there are more than 50 different brands and websites that we manage and try to grow. And yeah, so we operate from, right now I'm sitting in Dubai, so we operate from back office in Dubai. It's a big team, so we are 16,000 people globally, and there are about 7,000 people here in UAE. So yeah, glad to be here and looking forward to the panel.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Faheem. Appreciate it. And again, as I mentioned earlier, we have a very diverse panel. And because of that, we are going to get interesting insights from different parts of the world and how the e-commerce space is evolving in different countries and so on and so forth. Now, last but not the least, I would request Gil, CEO of HomeRoots and moderator of this panel today, to introduce himself. Gil, please.
Sure. Thank you very much, Pankaj, and thank you very much, panelists, for coming on board to this event. As Pankaj indicated, I'm the CEO of HomeRoots. HomeRoots is a company that helps manufacturers from all over the world penetrate and increase their market share in the US, mainly in the home sector. In my background, I got into the space while I was working for Toys R Us and Amazon, getting the toys category or putting the seed in where the toys category is today with Amazon. That made me fall in love in the CPG e-commerce retail world. And again, this is just in a nutshell. The rest you'll hear later on in the conversation. But thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Gil, for this quick intro. And I know that you got some really interesting questions in your pocket, in your mind. And we are obviously dying to get sizzling hot insights from the panelists on the questions that you have prepared. So why don't we take out the questions and start getting insights from the leaders? Yeah.
Sure, of course. Sounds good. So let me run off with the first questions for the audience today, and I will say it is what are some of the most impactful AI-driven automations in e-commerce, in your opinion? Nikita, let me shoot at you first.
Sure. So because I have seen since I graduated, since then I have been only a data science and AI person. And in retail, I have seen multiple areas where we have applied machine learning and AI technologies. But for me, particularly, what I have seen and worked and always worked for retailers is the targeting of my customers. So the right set of customer targeting through any technology that worked well and also always insightful for us to grow and also in terms of revenue. So recently I have launched 2 of my research papers onto this zone only, that is targeting my customers using different style of segmentations. We can go with a simple segmentation, but it was based on, because it's an LLM word, how we can do without anything with this. So recently I have used this LLM based targeting customers using their transaction history, but to make use and to get their lifestyles. So where they lie, like what they are buying, what is their lifestyle, whether they are wine fanatics or a parent of a youngster or an infant at home. So getting into your lives and getting to know who you are, whether you are a health conscious person or a very person that fitness wellness. So knowing your patterns, making the target customers like this in a segments, and then doing the promotion based on your lifestyles. So I understand that finding the right and the personalized set of targeting makes the customer also happy and you also happy by getting the response very well from them. So this is the one thing that worked very well and always lovable from both of the ends.
And I'm assuming this will lead to repeat of purchases.
Repeat of purchases and mostly loyalty.
Okay.
So they are willing to see. Otherwise, we tested this approach multiple ends. Like if I give you promotions that are not related to you, you will stop looking at my notifications and pause onto your phone. So being my e-commerce, I need to reach you and you to like my promotions and hit over it to make more purchase. So loyalty of a customer and in turn, the revenue and the growth. So maintaining you makes more happiness from both ends.
Makes sense. Fahim, from your side, in the Middle East, is that the same?
Yeah, I think they say that when you acquire people, most of the time you lose money, but you actually make money when people come back and buy, right? So retention obviously is like one of the key things that an e-com business should do and focus on. But I think generally, if you look at the landscape, and Dubai has been like on the forefront of what's been being done on the AI side, right? So even they have, I think they've introduced a ministry or a section in the government who is looking after AI initiatives. So people are really, really ahead in terms of what's being done on the AI front here. And there are quite a few companies, not just big retail groups, but a lot of small players who are really implementing and testing a lot of AI strategies. So just to add from my side on AI front, I think is a big one. So we have one retail brand called Level Shoes. So we sell a lot of shoes and fashion stuff on Level Shoes. And Level Shoes is also like it's also present in brick and mortar. So they have stores as well. It's one of the largest stores, at least one of the largest stores that makes money for Dubai Mall. I'm sure you know about Dubai Mall, and a lot of people who visit UAE, they go to Dubai Mall. So imagine if you are on Level Shoes website and you are size 43, you like black shoes. The moment you start browsing shoes, if you implement AI the right way, you hit home page and you go back and you see all the shoes are 43 already and all the colors selected for you, right? So whatever your color choices are or your preference, with AI, it's becoming much easier or more easier for people to be served the right content, whether it's like carousels through homepage or recommendations for you. We know that Amazon has been doing this forever. Now with AI and all the new automations, it's becoming easier for smaller players as well to adopt. And then on dynamic pricing, so we know pricing is one of the crucial things in e-com. And customer acquisition, like 30 to 40% of the people they convert because of being being something that is on discount or well priced. And again, we all know that Amazon does this, and you being in Amazon historically, you know that Amazon changes prices like millions of times a day. And with AI, it's easier to scrape, it's easier to look at what competitors are doing, and you price match. And I think it already mentioned about ad targeting, but I think the possibilities are infinite. It's just that each and every individual who's working in your teams, are they utilizing AI enough? Are they prompting? Are they looking at what can be done with AI within their field?
Thanks. Let me shoot this question over also to Veena. You're coming more from the European side, just going through the globe.
Sure. So it's not very dissimilar from what Nikita and Fahim said. So yes, dynamic pricing is one that's there's a lot of opportunity in that space, and implementing the travel sector has done sector to implement it. I haven't seen many websites do dynamic pricing here. So I think that's a huge opportunity space where it's still to come. And similar to what Nikita said and Fahim touched on, personalization. That's a huge one because yes, customers are happy, so they are loyal. They stick with your website, so that's great. But there's also the fact that if you suggest the right product to that customer, knowing what socioeconomic class they come from, what sort of demand levels there are, there's also an opportunity to increase the revenue per customer or the customer lifetime value. So I think there's a lot of value add from implementing that. And I think if we move away from AI a little bit, AR, VR, that's a huge space which has still sort of not seen 100% adoption. So especially in the sector that you are in, let's say I was a customer of a furniture store. I would love to see what that couch would look like at my house. So the opportunity to take a phone and actually visualize what it looks like in my room is amazing. I just moved houses and I moved from a pretty big room to a fairly small room, and I needed to get things and I can't bring my old things over. So this is something that there is a lot of opportunity, and that's something that is fact of life for people in Europe. Places are small, so you really need to make the most of your space. So that's one. And the second one is the fashion, makeup, and that sort of sector where virtual try-ons are becoming increasingly more common amongst companies here. So I think those are two additional spaces where I've seen a lot of adoption here in the UK. And yes, I have actually used some of those virtual apps and they work. So there's a lot more to be done. I would think that someone is bound to come up with something that would simulate the smell. So for perfume companies, that would be great, especially because you have a lot of people with allergies and things like that, or people get migraines or headaches when they go into these stores. To make this a very personalized experience for the one person who actually wants to smell and see what that is like, that's a different experience that the sort of AI or the augmented reality space could deliver.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I'm gonna have a slight different version of the question, and I'm gonna target our Hong Kong-based panelists here just to see their view. But how do you see AI transforming e-commerce or e-commerce automation beyond just chatbots? Let me start off with you, Karl. Your point of view in that.
Yeah, absolutely. So super interesting insights by the other panelists, right? And I think, just introducing a different perspective here. The way we think about implementing AI, right, is to think about where AI would shine. And the way we think about it is really that AI shines when there are a lot of unstructured data, and also when there's a very tedious workflow, right? And then sourcing, is exactly the combination of the two, right? And basically what we do is really simple, right? We really feel like there are a lot of insights that we can collect from social media platforms and e-commerce platforms that would then inform what type of product you should be developing and sourcing, right? So like basically what we do at Sourcey is we have this tool that can consolidate insights across different social media platforms and then translate that into product features, right? That would be then something that we believe can help you differentiate your brand. And then after that, the second half of the process is we turn these ideas into manufacturable products, right? So like we have all these different catalogs that we collect from the different manufacturers that have different, what we call ODM products that they have already designed. And then we can then cherry pick, from all these different manufacturers, the best fit options that can then manufacture that opportunity that we have identified for you. So altogether, when you think about it, AI really help a lot of brands potentially save two armies of people, right? An army of people that would otherwise be reading all these Amazon reviews, TikTok posts, as well as the other army of people that would otherwise be reading through all these like supply catalog one by one, right? And then Sourcey is trying to kind of like bridge the two together, and then instead of having a lot of people and you don't know if they are doing the job right, you now have a reliable AI that can help you turn an idea into a product.
Okay. Thank you. Terry, what's your point of view on that?
Well, thank you. I think AI can be used in different spaces within the e-commerce ecosystem. But based on my experience by working in Alibaba and Lazada, Lazada is one of the largest e-commerce marketplace in Southeast Asia. Well, when we talk about e-commerce, basically we talk about the ecosystem. The ecosystem. Typically, for e-commerce marketplace, we have some what so-called essential building blocks, such as we have payment, we have logistics, we have a marketing, we have a different kind of system. They are highly linked up together by data. What I can see here is AI automation can actually apply to different areas within the e-commerce ecosystem, but ultimately is to enhance the customer experience, how to optimize the operation, and ultimately driving sales. I think some of the panelists talk about personalized recommendation, dynamic pricing. Some of the application I can see is about inventory management, supply chain optimization, say how we can make use of AI to predict the demand or the pattern of the consumer, and then we how to optimize the supply chain. Specifically, we try to put the products as closer to the consumer as possible. Other application I can see is visual search, fraud detection, prevention, and also we can make use of AI to do a lot of customer segmentation and targeting. So I think it really depends on the kind of company, of your company, the objective, and also the budget availability. And then you choose the right AI tool and apply to the right business rule. Apply the right business rule. I think that is what I've seen for the AI application right now in the market.
Yes, thank you, Terry. Thank you for this insight. Let me take the next question to back to Faheem. What is, in your opinion, what is the biggest obstacle in how AI can help small and mid-sized manufacturers in your sector, let's say?
I think first one is obviously the lack of understanding or lack of education, right? So obviously everyone knows ChatGPT, but very few people really know how to prompt ChatGPT, right? Or Claude or Perplexity, right? And even like seasoned experts or people who are in senior positions and people who come from like a coding background and who understands how systems work and how data works, you need to translate your queries and questions into a prompt, which is something fairly new. There was no prompting 2 years ago, so it's like a new subject that we all have to learn. So even like myself, I struggle a lot with prompting, and I'm trying to learn how to prompt the algorithm. So first one is obviously prompting. Secondly, it also I think depends upon your industry. So the industry that we come from, or at least I work in right now, is when it's luxury retail and when you're working with brands like likes of LVMH, Chanel, Dior, you can't really do anything with content or pictures or photography and whatnot, right? So you can't really say because because I have the original image of the perfume bottle, let me reproduce one with a new background, because brands will actually hate it and they will not allow you to use it whatsoever. Same with the verbiage or the language. So unless you have your own custom LLM and with all the input from the brand and brand tone of voice and guidance, you can't really just go ahead and produce copy for your ads or website, right? So those are the two big ones. And obviously, when it comes to data sensitivity or handling privacy and how you will be prone to more cyber attacks if you start utilizing outside applications into your ecosystem. And when it comes to obviously luxury brands, they're also very specific in terms of how they address their customers. So going back to what Nikita was saying in terms of targeting your persona, you can't really rely on AI to tailor the messaging according to the persona. I mean, it is possible and it can be done, but at the end of the day, it may not relate back to the tone of voice that the brand wants to use. And for big groups like us, I think it's also a big challenge in terms of internal education. So how do you educate 800 different retail stores? So we have internally our own university. It's called Shalhoub University. So there's a lot of stuff being done on course level inside Shalhoub University. So people can actually take AI courses inside Shalhoub University. So, but producing all those courses and staying up to date with what's coming up every other week on AI front, it's a task. So yeah, those would be some of the challenges.
Okay, so thank you, Fahim. So let me take it also to Nikita on your end. Again, just to reiterate the question, what is in your mind, what is the biggest obstacle in how AI is helping small to medium-sized manufacturers or to have AI help small and mid-sized manufacturers?
So for me, what I have seen in my career, like some of the operational and expansion challenges are related to adoption. So many a times I've seen like with this background, we are ready, we know how the solution can work out, but the reliability and adoption by the people who doesn't belong to the AI technologies really takes time and education duration. So that, say, for example, I have prepared one targeted promotion or a segmentation proposal or a project end to end for the marketing team. But it also takes a good amount of time for the adoption and education from their end to actually rely on the solution and go out for the A/B testing and actual implementation. Because from years, if someone and the teams are going with some technologies, mostly rule-based and their own set of rules. So taking this high-speed technology into the reliability and implementation, and that too when there is a huge market to take as a result and optimization of these algorithms, it takes a little bit time in adoption. And sometimes I feel because this technology is growing so fast and everybody wants to, with a younger generation I've seen, they are very excited and really want to try out everything. I really sense like there is something that is compliance with what to use, what not to use with the data, using all the open source algorithms and technologies is something we really need to set in organization. I really do this for everything, whatever we do, there should be some compliance set, what data should go out, should not go out, and how to move forward with utilization of technologies. So taking good benefit, not the bad one for the technology. That are a few of the things I have seen.
Okay, that's interesting. I want to take this question also to Terry. you've seen it from the Alibaba side or Masada Group, and even with your existing manufacturers that you're dealing with, what do you think your biggest obstacles are in your mind? We cannot hear you, Terry. You're muted.
Okay, I think if we
Yeah.
talk about how the manufacturer facing the challenges, I think indeed they have a lot of challenges when they want to develop, expand the business cross-border. For example, how to understand the market demand, the supply chain management, regulatory compliance, customer acquisition, marketing, how to scale their production, all are the challenges facing by the manufacturers. And I do believe that in the market, there are quite a lot of AI tools that the manufacturer can be deployed, can be used. But one thing we encounter is that there are too many tools right now, too many tools. As some panelists said, okay, we have, wow, I don't know how many new AI tools daily. Wow, too many. Even we cannot catch up. But the thing is how we can select the right AI tool that can apply to the situation which the manufacturer encounter. But as I said before, I think even more important is we set the right business rule first, and then we select the right AI tool. But most of the people, they just think, if I can find the AI tool, I can solve all the problem. Yeah, but I don't think it's always true. Okay, but I do believe that every AI tool is good. They serve their own purpose, but even better if different AI tool can be make use of together to maximize the synergy effect. Maybe some AI tool can help the manufacturer to better understand the market. Some AI tool can help them to optimize their operation. Some AI tool can help them to analyze the data. But how we can select the right tool and work together to maximize the synergy is very difficult right now.
Terry, you are not alone. It's not only you who feel overwhelmed with all these new AI tools. It happened to me. I sleep in the night that, oh my God, XYZ is amazing. And then I wake up next morning, oh, XYZ is so left behind almost a year by ABC, right?
Exactly.
So things are changing so quickly, so rapidly. It's just hard to keep the track.
Exactly.
I completely agree with you on that.
Exactly.
Yes, really. Karl, what's your experience with manufacturers?
Well, so I think, in data science, right, we have this saying that garbage in, garbage out. So like I think the availability of data and timely and accurate data is always the kind of the challenge, right? So like, sometimes the data is from the manufacturers themselves. So like if they don't keep very good record, right, of their latest catalogs, or if they don't have all the, up-to-date data available in a usable format, right? Then that could be a challenge because like even the best AI without the right data cannot perform well, right? I think that's really one of the biggest challenges that we have seen. And then I would say another challenge that I have seen is also on kind of just evaluating the model, right, or the AI. And the reality is, everyone is trying to use AI, but they don't know if it is actually, helping them, bring some business impact, right, or enhancing the overall productivity. And without a very good and rigorous evaluation model, you are just, basically trying your luck, right? So I think, without that, it's also very hard to have a continuous improvement and implementation of AI. So I would say these two would be the biggest challenges for the manufacturers.
Yes, and I'd like to add on what you said with the data. I'll call it data in, data out. And maybe take it from a different angle of less of maybe garbage. But I will say as far as understanding the terminology specifically when you're dealing with, in what I've experienced in my past, where English is the second language, some of the terminology, especially in retail, is more complicated. The compliance terminology is much more complicated. I would like to assume that some of understanding of this terminology is not entirely clear, which leads to data entry mistakes. Those data entry could be extremely expensive to everybody involved who attempts to sell those products afterwards. So without the proper attention to those products before they go live, things can go south very quickly. So
Absolutely.
I've experienced that left and right, I will say. And I'll take this question to this is a very interesting for me as well. So, but Veena, what's your view on that?
Yeah, so I would agree with what most people have been saying, data, but I would come at this from a slightly different angle. We are all in the consumer goods space, and I think the biggest blocker is consumer data. So we look at this and go, we have a lot of data, but I don't think we have enough data, because when we talk about things like personalization, understanding demand, supply chain, it all comes from that end consumer. And if the end consumer is feeling insecure about providing data on what their lives are like, what ups and downs they're facing, financial circumstances around their purchasing decisions, where they live, which store they buy from, and what products they prefer, and generally their lifestyle, what their income source, and that's really important element that needs to go into some of these models. And people don't share this just because they don't understand how it's being used, where it goes to, and data privacy concerns. So I think that is a huge blocker to really getting to what the consumer wants, which impacts every single element of a consumer goods company, whether that's supply, whether that's when to make it, which store to supply it at, or just making sure that the consumer gets the right recommendation on the website. We need data. And I think that's sort of the biggest blocker. And we see that here in Europe. And I think I've seen that with some of my customers in the US as well, where data privacy is a huge concern.
Yes, that's correct. I can tell you, Europe, to most extent, is, from my experience, is a bit more advanced on the topic. There's some states in the US, such as California, who are tagging behind, sometimes even overpassing some of the requirements on the European side. But I want to do a small follow-on question to you, on that topic. In your opinion, what have you seen that companies have done to overcome those privacy challenges? Because they're still, going back to some of the panelists, what they've said, or earlier in the conversation, the personalizations is a big deal for the consumer goods industry. So what have you seen that customers are doing to overcome this challenge?
So I think some customers are getting in front of this and making it very clear to users on how their data will be used. And they've started doing a checkbox right at the beginning when this customer signs up about how their data is going to be used, and getting them to opt in. And many people opt in because once they understand how this is used, then that's fine. But the issue comes when people are doing this and they don't actually read through how your data is going to be used, or when you have a lot of misinformation. Like, for example, the other day I was having a chat with one of my clients, and they were describing the situation where they had a lot of people unsubscribe and not share data with some of their applications and the website, the e-commerce website in general, because there was a lot of misinformation around how their data will be used by AI, and to the granularity of data that people see. So everyone has this assumption that there's a bunch of people who sit in these offices and look at the data and they actually churn out recommendation, but that's really not the case. So I think it's about making it crystal clear. And I don't think people have gotten to that extent at the moment. It's just a disclaimer when people sign up, or a brief note to read. So I think it's moving in the right direction, and that's the best that I've seen companies do here. I think we just need to go a lot further about educating the general population about how AI uses data and the fact that I'm not going to actually get any information from any of these systems on how Nikita uses her money, or how Terry spends his sort of monthly income or monthly expenses, what he picks and chooses. It's about how a male who lives in Hong Kong would do this in a very generalized manner. And that's what people don't get. And I think that's what needs to be communicated. Does that answer your question?
No, definitely. I mean, definitely that's very fascinating to hear that. Now I want to take it to the other side, right? We spoke a little bit more on the manufacturing side. We definitely know that we have a challenge with personalizing content and imagery, specifically for brand. They're very protective of what's being out there. We know we have challenges with personalizations, finding the right tool. I agree. There's lots of tools out there. Some of them, you know, it takes you back to like a candy store, right? You're in a candy store as a kid. Everything is flashing around you. You want to try everything, but honestly, sometimes it can also be distractive, specifically if you're not finding the right tool. That can have the negative effect of what you really want. But when you do find the right tool, that can be an amazing experience altogether. Focus more on the manufacturing side or the supply side. I want to now take it more on the retail side of things. And now the next question is, what are some of the common mistakes when implementing AI and on the retail side? Again, Nikita, I want to take it to you without you necessarily pointing to your own companies that you're dealing with, but just generally what you've experienced. Let's put it this way.
With the mistakes, what people do with AI, I personally feel unrealistic expectations. With changing era, initially when I started, I remember like everything was like quite slow because this technology was new. So people were liking it. They wanted, they understand that it may take time, but right now, because it's a fast moving technology and it's accessible for everyone, everybody is excited and into it. So I have seen very unrealistic expectations, like uh, everybody around you would like to see the solution quite quick because it seems easy. But I personally feel getting a quicker solution but a sustainable solution are two different things. So we still need to, because being a developer, I know you still need to go from very detailed understanding that cannot be any just generic prompt engineering or anything can help you out. It can also it can help you for a certain level, but it's the person who you needs to sit. It cannot completely replace you. So it's like a combination. It is now quicker than before. I know because of the accessibility of the knowledge and the content, but still, to build a sustainable solution, I think it takes time, and I have experienced this. But the expectation of this word is going quite crazy. I've seen like solutions are coming up fast, and expectations are increasing day by day. So it seems quite pressurous now. A lot of pressure over the candidates who are serving this and building the actual AI solution. So something like I still feel we need to stick with the traditional data science and AI technologies and to be focusing on very sustainable long-term solutions rather than just coming up with a quick solution that is like accessible uh, throughout the internet. But it should be specific to your firm.
Makes sense. Fahim, let me extend this question to you, please.
Yeah, I think very similar to what Nikita said. First of all, we need to put some guardrails around how AI is being used within a company, because you can't just say, okay, there's AI for that, right? So just go ahead and use AI, especially when you are working within a sensitive market or luxury retail in our example. And if you are, if you're a data science company, if you're marketing agency who's working for other clients. You can't just say to your traders, go ahead, use AI, write the copy, generate images, because the output may not be what the business wants, right? So having the right policy around AI is very, very important for any organizations. That's the first step. Second, I think using too much AI is also not a good thing, because AI is not going to give you all the solution. And also within a company, it's very important to understand that it's not just one tool or one LLM that will have all your answers for. I think Terry touched on this initially. I think over time it's going to be a lot of AI tools that will just filter through and stand out, and those will be the ones that will be state of the art tools that people will use. But we are right now where we are, it's still very primitive in terms of which tool you should use for one problem that you want to tackle. I mean, just like a very small example, we all know that HR people have been using AI for a long time to screen the candidates, but I don't think you can just blindfold yourself and go ahead and screen people, because a really good CV may not pass through the AI systems, but you're then losing on a really good candidate. So you can use it, but just needs to be very specific, and you really need to understand what you're doing. So again, it goes back to education. So yeah, the companies needs to make sure that people know what they're doing.
Makes sense. So I want to add one more small thing for him to what you just said from my experience with AI. And there's a lot of good things about AI. Don't mean wrong. I'm all for it. I'm pushing it all the way through whenever possible. But with that, just letting it run by itself, assuming it will now replace all the will just replace employees or teammates blindly to just run. That's something that I've yet to experience. It takes time, and it does go through multiple iterations before it does get to the point where you can trust it more and more, but you still need a human being at the end of the day to just check it off and make sure that everything is right. But I don't want to overshadow my panelists, and I want to take it on to Veena, your side. What are the mistakes that you've seen with implementing AI?
So I think some very similar to what Faheem said, it is around the sort of human element. I think a lot of people overlook that when they implement AI. They implement it and then expect that it would generate the right result. You really need to, especially in the initial days, you need to make sure that it is generating what you need. So that is definitely one element. You need that human brain to assess and analyze whether AI is doing what you're expecting it to do. And like Faheem said, not lose any critical elements, like the loss of that one really good CV that the AI didn't pick up. But also parallel to that, I think testing. When something like this is implemented, I don't think enough testing is done. Or if testing is done, it's not monitored rigorously enough so that when it's actually implemented, the results that it generates, and I've seen this a lot in personalization on e-commerce, it ends up giving suggestions that actually have nothing to do with that particular customer, because it's either implementing the wrong algorithm or it's misunderstood the data that's fed in, because it's the data. It's garbage in, garbage out. So if the data is not slotted right, if it's not in the right position, and it's not collecting the right information, and it's not using the right algorithm. So there's a lot of different factors that need to be tested when this is implemented. And if each of those is not rigorously checked at the implementation phase, you're just going to get people who use it and go, that's really not what I was looking for. And if they get enough of those suggestions or enough times when the e-commerce website actually has messed it up for them, people won't come back. And I've seen that happen with large retailers here in the UK, where they were given suggestions. So they go in or they go into the website to buy, let's say, a can of juice, and they're looking for a particular type of juice. And instead of that, it starts recommending actual fruits to them because it's not in stock. Or it starts recommending that fruit flavored lozenges because that's another one that was very similar to that and had the right keyword. If that's issues with implementation and that it hasn't rigorously been tested, people will get fed up, not use the website, and basically go, I'm either going to go into store or use another website that works better for me. So I think that's a big pitfall.
In other words, personalization gone wildly wrong.
Yes, because it hasn't been tested. Yes.
Yes.
Or checked. Yes.
That makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. All right, I want to take it to Carl. I want to ask you if you have to spare a moment and think about one thing in this industry you would like to change. What will be that thing?
In the industry, as in AI, or in the industry as in consumer goods?
Could say in the e-commerce, it can be in respective to AI or not. But everything that's related to consumer goods, e-commerce, cross-border.
Yeah. I think I want to piggyback on what Veena mentioned. It's about validation, right, of insights. I think in general, like when it comes to AI, let's say, it's a predictive algorithm, right? And when it is predictive, it means that it can be wrong, and it can be totally wrong, right? So validating the prediction is very important. And here, I think really like the state-of-the-art operation that I've seen would be more like the Shein, right? So they launch 2 million SKUs in a year. And then most of the SKUs that they launch, they only produce like, a few hundred pieces. But then for the 1%, right, that they really see as being validated with real demand, right, they would then double down and then do bulk production. So like that, AI can be very helpful on generating the ideas for the 2 million SKUs, but then to really cherry pick the best 20,000 SKUs, right, to invest on, it requires validation, and it requires a lot of like, I would say human guidance still, right? So like if there's one thing I think is to really distinguish between whether the AI is a co-pilot or whether the AI is an agentic kind of tool, right? And I would say most of the tools that are really out there are still a co-pilot, right? And it requires a lot of guidance and validation by human.
I agree with you. I definitely experienced the same from my side. Terry, how about you? If you could change one thing in the industry, again, AI or not,
very good question. I would change the data accessibility because I believe that the data silo are a very significant challenge in the e-commerce landscape right now. A lot of business they will struggle to integrate data from various source. For example, e-commerce platform, inventory management system, customer relationship management system, CRM tool. It is very big challenge right now. So if we can fostering a more cooperative environment where data can be easily shared and accessed seamlessly across different systems, I think business can achieve what's so-called a 360-degree view of their operation. By doing so, that can significantly achieve better customer insights. They can enhance our decision making. Also, they can significantly streamline the operation.
So you see companies sharing data of pretty much the same data and reconciling it together, or you see data that is complementary to each other from different angles of the businesses?
Well, actually, we have many data right now with abundance of data. For example, if you're a marketplace, you have a lot of consumer data. If you are payment, you have a payment data, so on and so forth. And right now we can see there's a disconnect, I can say, the data sharing. Maybe company would like to make use of this to earn money, very obviously. But as I said earlier, the e-commerce, when we talk about e-commerce, we need to talk from an ecosystem perspective. very complicated. We have payment, we have logistic, we have a category solution, system solution, a lot of different things within the ecosystem. But right now it's quite piece by piece. But if we want to perform well in the e-commerce, we need to have all this information, the data together to help us to make the decision. That's why I think more cooperative data sharing as data accessibility can really help us to achieve better customer experience and cut down the cost.
Interesting.
Mm.
That's interesting point. Yeah, and the payment is something that we have yet to touch, and it's big. It's also big on the AI side of things. It goes back also to personalization and the payment methods, the preferred and what to support, what's not. That's a huge one. Nikita, let me take it back on with you.
So if you ask me one thing to change in this industry, I would like to see a unified customer data platform, like where we can have a collective information of the customer, because what we see today as a customer and their history is like what they are purchasing with us. But we do not know anything outside our area with other e-commerce platforms, what this customer behavior is and what they like and purchase. So if we can collectively with every firm can together have a unified data where we have a good picture of a customer, that would be very beneficial in this industry to together share and utilize it the best way.
Okay, thank you, Kita. I want to ask you on your side, if you have to predict what are the tools or what are the things, especially moving forward a few years in your area, maybe it might be in respective to AI or not, but what would be your point of view if you have to think beyond the current challenges of the industry?
Challenges to this industry.
Yes.
So challenges, what I see are like we are growing in a very fast way. We are learning, growing, expanding our business, utilizing the AI technology. But building something that is exactly measurable and sustainable solution, because what I realize, something reaching quite quickly, we might lack in coming 3 years the measures to actually having the sustainable solutions and also having the compliance followed in all through our journeys. So taking care of the environment also in a sustainable way, and also the accurately and doing everything in a very good manner, so that today whatever we have built using any technology, maybe AI or other, should survive and sustain for a longer period. So that challenges may come up with this fast growing industry quite soon.
Okay. That's fascinating, and that will be interesting also to see what companies are doing on the environment side, financially, how they're taking the bottom line into account with, like you said,
everybody is doing something, that is because even we as a consumer are becoming more towards like environment friendly products we are liking, but something that is missing out, it's like, are we actually measuring this sustainability in the environment or not? Everybody is doing it, but how much do I know today buying something, how much percentage I'm being good to my environment? So something needs to be improved, and in moving forward, it will be liked more.
interesting. You gave me a few ideas there. Cool.
Yeah.
No, good thing to point out. And it's very important. Obviously, we all live in a single earth and this one earth, so we got to take care of it, no doubt. Veena, what would you like to see as a change?
I would, well, two changes, not just one change. So
Okay.
one is people being more willing to share data to the extent that they let even things like their personal Alexa device or the sort of Google they have one for home use, right?
Oh, yeah.
So yes, so integrating those devices with their purchasing decisions so that it makes your life easier. I've seen some of these things work, where it monitors what you buy down through to when you use it. And I've seen some startups with those ideas anyway. And it tells you when you need to stock up. So it removes the need for your long-winded shopping list, because when I do shopping lists, I miss things. So I don't know if I'm the only one, but I end up going to the supermarket, coming back home, and in 5 minutes going out to the supermarket again because I missed something. And that's a sort of thing that it can remove. And times when you buy two of the same thing, that's waste. So integrating those devices can help. So I think I would like to see that happen. And two, I think to Nikita's point, sustainability is a huge concern. And it'll be great if what we are building right now could integrate elements of I would hesitate to say circular economy because it's such a big word, but the extent to which you can share, reuse, borrow, and sort of use existing resources in your neighborhood so you don't actually need to go and buy something else and it just becomes a redundant thing at home because you use it once and then you never use it again. Is there a way to actually use what's existing and available, and using AI for that? So I'm not sure how that could work, but I think if there's a solution that can slot into that, that could be super useful because a lot of people are getting into circular economy here, and there's a lot of recycling, yes, but again, people don't really understand what can be recycled, what cannot be recycled. There's a lot of refill stations here, so that sort of removes the element of personalization and customization. So something else needs to come in that helps companies attract those customers. So it's about building those elements in, and I think if someone can figure that out, that would be great. But I see that as a challenge at the moment.
That it could definitely help with personal expenditure, right? On saving
Yes.
a lot of money on that. And
Yeah.
nowadays, with
Well, cost of
inflation,
living.
yeah, cost of living rising. That's
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
good point. Fahim, how about you? What would you change?
I don't know if you watched this documentary, but there's a group of people, they're very smart in terms of predicting what's coming up and how you should put some rules and regulations around technology. So they warned everybody about social media. And that was back, I think, in 2007, where they wanted to have certain guidelines for social media companies to not allow everybody and anybody to post, but verify, make sure that it's a human who is posting, and so on. So they warned about social media, and I think they were right, because social media really got out of control like around 2015, between 2015 to 2020. We ended up with so many negativity in the social media space and a lot of misinformation, to the point where people lost their lives, right? So with AI ending up in wrong hands, we don't want to be in the same situation. So I think having some sort of authority, for example, for domain control, we know it's ICANN. For crypto, it's blockchain. So having like one central authority who can identify what's the legitimate or authentic AI company to go for, or a tool to work with, rather than working with any tool, because right after the hype of AI, everybody has started to label their tools that they are an AI company and that they believe in AI, and their tool works as an AI tool. But yeah, so I think really putting some guardrails around this technology would be a good next step.
Yes.
So rather than changing, I would add this to the mix. Yeah.
Yes, and we definitely need to overcome few political agendas of different parties that like to push certain things versus others, or control over what's being said in social media. So that's
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, at the end of the day, it's, because it cannot be that the US regulates AI and China doesn't. So it needs to be like one central, where all countries, they sign it and they abide by the rules. But
yeah.
yeah, things that the way things are going, it looks like there's no stopping for now.
No, not at the moment. But we got to stay optimistic, right? So with that, I like to thank you guys, the panelists, for answering those questions. I'll hand it back to Pankaj. I'd like to say a few words before our next phase.
Thanks to all the panelists. I know we could have continued for hours and hours, but we have to move on to the next segment of the event. And then I know that Gil has been having a lot of fun while investigating like FBI agent. And now we need to, turn the tables, and it's time to roast Gil. And the next segment of the event is called roast session. Why do we call it roast session? Because most of the times when founders are pitching to their potential customers, partners, investors, they do not get a brutal, honest feedback from their audience. They get a sugar-coated BS, which definitely doesn't help founders. Founders need to listen to a brutal, honest feedback on their solution, scalability, differentiation from the potential customers, from the potential investors. And that's why we have designed these roast sessions where founders pitch to the leaders, and experts, subject matter experts, industry leaders ask direct questions, give a brutal feedback on the live stream session. So Gil is going to do that in front of public, right? So, so let's go ahead and start this fun experience, fun learning for Gil. Gil, please feel free to present your screen.
Sure.
Walk us through HomeRoots solution, and then let's stay ready for all the difficult questions. Yeah.
Perfect. So, right. Let me know if you can.
Yep, we can see your screen. Yeah.
All right. Cool. So what I'm about to present to you, dear panelists, is obviously HomeRoots and what we're doing. More of
did you say dear because you wanted to save yourself?
Yeah, in a way, yes, in a way. No,
You're
it's fine.
preparing.
I
Okay,
appreciate
good.
the feedback. Listen, the feedback will only get us better, but not everything has to be brutal, right? Some of it could be nice. But it really more focused around the product, the offering from a point of view of a manufacturer or slash seller factory who attempts to enter the US market or expand the US market. So just keep that in mind. It does not cover everything that we're doing in HomeRoots, but this is more of the focus on this. And since you're definitely international, definitely outside the US, that's going to be an interesting angle and feedback to receive. Okay, so getting started off with HomeRoots. So if you're listen, it's no joke, and most of you, if not all of you, have experienced that yourself. Then doing business with retail is not easy, right? To say the least. And this is why many manufacturers are actually tailoring and defaulting to B2C marketplaces, just because it's much easier, more sometimes more scalable, easy to go after, and just get started, right? But to go big, one manufacturer needs to go to retail, and really there's no platform that will take you and take your products to those retailers. Okay. So with that said, we know that we have a problem, right? And the problem is, how do you become a vendor of those big box retailers? And how, let's say, by the magic of the fairies, you came on board, now you are an authorized vendor. How do you actually compete for the buyer's attention, right? You're not their biggest player. How do you fight for that? Again, as one who came from retail, I can tell you that it's more about making the big bigger, right? So if you're small, it's hard for you to pay for compete for their attention, and those retailers have to have lots of requirements and regulations that you as their vendor is required to adhere to. And if you're not going to adhere to all the way, they're going to either penalize you left and right up to the point that you're going to run out of money, or that eventually they're going to kick you out. And so it requires you as a manufacturer slash vendor, and I'm using those words all together, but requires you to have talent that knows merchandising, knows compliance, IT, inventory management, logistics, sales, a lot of different roles that really a small to medium-sized manufacturer doesn't really have the money to pay for all the payrolls. So if you're in a home sector and you are attempting to enter or expand your market share in the US, fear no more. We have the solution for you. We built up a portal that enables you, and this is more meant for non-branded goods, just to emphasize this point here, because it's very, very important. But if you're looking to enter the market, we built up a portal that enables you to upload your product specifications onto our platform, and then using proprietary AI, we know how to make this product market ready to different retailers that we're working with and connected with in order to broadcast those products and make them live with those retailers' channels. And then in return, those retailers' channels are actually going to offer those products for sale to their customers, whether it's business customers or consumers, doesn't really matter. And then when those customers are placing orders with the retailers that we broadcasted the data for, we will then facilitate the pickup from the warehouse and delivery to wherever the customer wanted to. And again, this is using our third-party partnerships in the space. Okay. Next, very simple. We got your products listed, right? Everywhere that you wanted to go, plus places that you never even heard of, now are offering your product for sale to the customers. But then you want more, okay? You want more exposure. And in which way we're offering that is we're offering our suppliers or manufacturers the ability to actually sign up to specific services. We call it content services. Especially we're creating dedicated and unique content for every retailers. And we're also using generative AI, proprietary generative AI, to generate lifestyle imagery and different angles of the product in such a way that makes this product stand out in the market and basically have higher search, to rank higher in the search engine's results. And we're offering the same thing also to small businesses, mainly to the e-commerce space of our customers. If they want to take our products and stand out in the market in a more as individuals, right, and not offering the same product content and imagery, they can also sign up for the same services and basically have unique content generated simply and just for them. There will be no other copies in the digital world, as far as we know, with what they will be able to generate. And so I want to take something as an example. We're able to, something about our generative AI, we're able to take what you see here right now on the screen, which is really a simple image, white background. There's nothing special about it. Everybody can pretty much take it and bring it on to something like that, which is more livelihood. Okay, so we're able to take a simple desk, a coffee table, and kind of put in more settings. Go back to your point, Veena, about how you want to personalize that in your own personal room. This is pretty much where we headed with this technology, and pretty much made it more stand out there. But it's not just about the imagery, which one image worth 1,000 words, but also about content and the way that the content will stand out. And so we're generating unique content for every sales channel. For example, what Lowe's may want is not necessarily the same content that Home Depot wants. What Amazon, the keywords are not necessarily the same keywords that Target or Walmart or those folks want. Yes, there are similarities, but they're not always the same. And most important is to eliminate or minimize what's called a sales channel conflict. We don't want constantly retailers butt-heading themselves about, hey, this guy's selling it for this, and this guy sells it for that, and therefore we want a better price. We want to give them an isolation. We want to make them feel as if they have exclusivity over the listings and the products that essentially they're getting, and this is what it's all about. And so who are we dealing with? So what you see on the left side, left to the pipeline, is our existing, more notable, known household names, mainly in the US, right? There's a few Canadian names in here as well. But also as we're moving forward, especially into Q2 and Q3, we are expanding we are expanding our reach beyond what we call traditional retail, with a partnership with Redfin, which is for the audience who's not familiar with Redfin. Redfin is one of the largest, not the largest, but one of the largest real estate firms in the US, where basically if you're about to move to a property, whether you lease or buy, they'll offer you products from HomeRoots exclusively. Okay, so just putting it out there, what we're offering going beyond now the retail realm into the customers. Sorry, that's pretty much a repeat of what we have right now, and pretty much we're looking to launch the products in this quarter and the next. Sorry, that was pretty much a repeat slide here. My apologies on this. And now I want to give you a little bit of more view into what are the other things that we're looking to release with HomeRoots. So the first step was, okay, providing the products, putting it out there, making sure that there's the most amount of eyeballs that are looking at the products, okay? But then it's going back to some of the points that you guys have mentioned. How do you know what to sell, what not to sell? How much inventory should you maintain? What are the price point? What the competition is doing, right? So we're collecting as HomeRoots. So what's happening right now in the flow is that manufacturers constantly feeding products and pricing and sales data onto the retailers that we're currently connected with, okay? That sales data is flowing into HomeRoots. And we're knowing what are the demand, what is seasonality of products, what's hot, what's not. Again, going back to the price points, going back to the volumes and geographical demand. We're looking to offer that to the manufacturers who's working with us to tell them exactly where they need to be. Okay, so this is another service that we're looking to release. And the last service that we're looking to release is about advertisement syndications, right? Every manufacturer, beyond getting their products out there, next thing they want to do is, okay, what else can I do to promote my products? And one way of doing it is advertising money. Some may know it's co-op, more of a known terminology out there. But again, we're looking to offer our manufacturers the ability to syndicate their advertising and using also proprietary AI to be able to know and allocate money based on the different retail outlet that generates the most amount of return on investment for our manufacturers, right? And that way get the most optimal. Not always, there's a lot of common advertisement on Amazon, there's a lot of common advertising on Walmart because those are B2C marketplaces, but guess what? It's not always the cheapest. Sometimes you can get a lot more money if you push something, let's say on Home Depot, or push something on Target and so forth. Okay, so just moving quickly on this. And really the retailers, the suppliers, we have a lot of good engagement with suppliers and why they love us. Simple. We're saving them anywhere between $1 million to $1.5 million as in market penetration effort. And really from the moment of going live with our products, it can get their sales in a matter of days. Okay. Talk a little bit about our team. Well, you guys know me by now, but I want to also indicate on the call, we have Diane Norwood with more than 25 years experience as Chief Merchandising Officer, has extensive procurement and purchasing in both Macy's and Bath & Beyond before coming on board. And also on the call, I have Agar, who's our COO, founded her first company, 23, exited 25. Led Ladingo, have a lot of experience with e-commerce and logistics, cross-border logistics and SaaS. So this is about our team. And with that, I welcome your roasting. As Pankaj says, honest, candid, professional. By all means. Pankaj, you go first, maybe.
No, you have to add professional. Okay. No, let's take questions from the experts. I keep asking questions to you all the times.
Sure.
And again, please don't hold back. Don't hesitate. We want really, candid feedback from your side. So please unmute yourself and feel free to ask questions.
No one will ask. I will just point of questions. Point some names.
Maybe I can ask a quick question. It's
Sure.
not, roasting at all. Just out of curiosity, right? Like you mentioned, I think 3 things. One is like optimizing for the listing, one is the advertising side, and then one is more like on the predictive, demand and then inventory management side, right? Like to me, each one of these can be a unicorn idea. And I'm just
Yes.
wondering why you need to do all three kind of at the same time, right? Isn't that a bit overly ambitious?
Okay, so it's a good question. One, we're not doing them all at the same time. Well, means this is why there's to be released. I do see, and there's graduation of certain services, and there's things that obviously we need to uh, reach a certain level before we can release the next thing. But I tell you what, since we're dealing with international manufacturers, the common question is always, what should I sell? Right? What product and what price point, and how do I know I'm taking this risk, right? To come on board with HomeRoots or come on board to the US market. And I want to minimize my risk, right? So that's a common question that we're getting all the time. And we found ourselves constantly offering data points to manufacturers who want to come on board. And this is something that just naturally, I think, will enable us, even as a company, to scale, and also our partners, our suppliers, to scale accordingly. So this is why I see this as a very hidden value. And the advertising is just with suppliers who came to the point where, okay, they got the products listed, they're using our content services. They're asking, okay, what's next? So what else can I do? Now I feel like I'm taking care of the orders. I'm introducing new inventory to you at HomeRoots. What else? Let me be more active. What else can I do? And this is also something that's coming back again and again and again and again question. It doesn't mean that everything we're looking to build ourselves, but it's definitely partners that are welcome to join in those in this highly demand, but from the supply side. Good question.
Love it. Yeah.
Thank you, Carl. I think you go ahead, Veena, please.
I had a question. What's your business model?
Sure, that's a very good question. So I will take you back in here to this slide, which is this one. So
You are not
basically,
presenting anymore. Please.
I'm not? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Let me quickly present. Sorry, my bad. It got stopped. So our business model is two. One, it's based on selling the products. We take a certain cut of every transaction. Basically, we're getting the goods at a much deep discounted wholesale, and there we're selling at wholesale. And this gap between the discounted wholesale and the wholesale is whatever we keep for ourselves, because it's on a transaction basis. The second business model of ours is really towards our services, right? So this is a more of a SaaS model, where it's based on monthly subscriptions as well as usage fees of the content slash imagery services that we offer to our users.
I have a follow-on question
Sure.
to that, actually. So,
Yeah.
so why go through the retailer at all if they are that hard to actually get into? I'm assuming it's a hard sell for you to actually sell, as in get them to actually use your platform as well, because consumer goods in FMCG retailers are the same. They are very, very resistant to new platforms, new ideas, new ways of working, and that sort of thing. And I'm assuming it's the same here. So why go through them at all? Why not just directly have a B2C facing platform?
Okay. Well, that's a very, very good question, and at the premise of why we're doing what we're doing. So our relationship mostly our retailers are using our platform more for browsing and inspirational ideas. The big box retailers are not, or let me put it this way, our interactions with them are more system to systems through integrations, whether that's EDI integration or API integration. Their usage of our platform is more inspirational to get ideas, what other products we can possibly offer them, what other categories that are new, but they're not an active user on HomeRoots per se. But going back to your question, why won't we just go to the direct consumer? It's because I think right now you got so many other solutions that are going to direct to consumer. We spoke about AI, but even before the AI era, the market is flooded with direct-to-consumer solutions. It's the difficult part in getting to do business with the retailers. That's something that the market is not flooded, and actually it's lack of solutions that are out there to enable, and that's the reason, that's the premise of why HomeRoots even exists today.
Got it. Thanks, Gil.
Yeah. Thank you.
One question from my end.
Sure.
So, as I can see, like you have multiple retailers buying from you, so you have the clear understanding on the data usage and their performance and the sales for each of
Yeah.
the retailers. But is this information unified also available for the retailers? Like, say, for example, Home Depot wants to understand like how my competitor Lowe's is performing in the same category versus myself. Like, is it a unified platform that you provide for the retailers who are tied up with you, or also, or just it is visible to you because you have the sales?
All right. This is a very fascinating question.
Because if I am a
Yeah.
retailer, I would like to see how my competitor is performing in this market and what's new is coming up.
Yes. I tell you that we're constantly getting requests from retailers to know what their competition is doing.
That will be like a game changer for any of the retailer to understand the business of a competitor.
We have, but that's also something that we have to be a bit careful with what we're sharing to them. Sometimes there are some compliance and legal issues that may arise if we're not going to serve the data carefully. So far, the information that we've been focusing on, the data, sales data that we've been focusing on sharing, is really going back to the manufacturers to tell them what their competition is doing. But we're definitely at the point, we'll be at the point where with the right, not crossing certain
With
gray
some
areas.
compliance, with some restrictions, but with little information as a
Correct.
platform where everybody can have a look into.
Exactly. This is where we're headed.
Good to know.
Guys, I'm highly disappointed. This is not interesting at all. Karl was covertly appreciating Gil that, hey, you are just too ambitious, right? And Veena and Nikita are too generous with their questions. So guys, I need some fun. Okay.
Sorry guys, I need to drop for another call, but maybe I can leave Gil with the question. I don't know if it's a roasting one, but so I'm more inclined towards the advertising side, and I come from an advertising background. I would love to know how are you planning to launch advertising with such big number of platforms from one platform, and how it's going to work for retailers?
Sure. So I tell you that there are platforms today that know how to they know how to advertise they work individually with specific retailers, right? They know, for example, you will manage as an advertiser, okay? You will manage your listings, advertising listings with specific retailers, but that platform supports multiple retailers. It's just you're basically it's not syndicated across the board. It's just you working in isolated manner per retailer. We are in discussions with those various partners to see how we can, using the data that we collect, to put it together to syndicate that, right? And having a dashboard on our side where we'll know to control and influence the different advertisement budget across different channels. So it's a combination of platform that exists in today with some customization on our side that overshadows those platforms together. But we're basically putting few partnerships together to make it happen.
Sounds good. Good luck. Really good initiative, by the way. I think I haven't seen many of the platforms who are combining so many platforms where people can or retailers can sell. So yeah, good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Faheem. And I mean, this is a great opportunity for Gil to also get some guidance from the panelists. So, for example, I think Nikita suggested that if we anonymize the data and share some insights with the retailers, then that could be a huge opportunity for HomeRoots. And similarly, if there are other guidance, other insights, other recommendations from the panelists, we would love to hear. And also on other side, Gil, we are sitting in front of really seasoned experts. So if you have any question that you want to ask, that hey, how should I be thinking about my go-to-market strategy or my channel strategy? Please feel free to take those guidance, those insights from the leaders.
Sure. You want me to ask now or after?
Let's do that now. Yeah.
Sure. So it's not something yet that we're actively doing because we're still focused on the U.S. or North American market, I will say. But if I were to take this globally, okay,
Let's say Europe.
Okay, so if I were to take this globally, what would be your recommendation? How to get started on that, whether that's demand side or supply side?
Veena, shall we start with you, since you are based in Europe and you have been probably evaluating or operating in this market for such a long time?
Sure. So I think in terms of getting started in Europe, the one thing I would say is it is a very traditional market, and you would need to spend some time here to understand it, meet the people. Yes, there are a lot of Zoom conversations happening, but there is a lot of face-to-face interactions happening as well. And if you look at the US and Canada, I wouldn't say that they are two very distinct markets in terms of consumer behavior and how people make decisions. I could be totally wrong on this, but I would think that there's not a lot of difference between how someone in Canada would make a decision about buying furniture versus someone in the US. But it's very different here in Europe, as in it's not one region, it's a bunch of different countries, and it's got its own languages. So you need to have a different language for each country. That's important. It's probably different. You need to train your algorithm to work differently for each country. So you need to think about that. Sorry, I'm coming up with a lot of complexity in terms of entering the market here, but I think it's a lot of food for thought there. When you look at market entry, as in it's the question of, yes, this has worked really well here, but when you enter the European market, one, is it going to work in this market? What is the effort that I need to put in to get to a platform that will work in the market, and then look at what that's going to cost in terms of time, effort, and dollar spend, and whether the return is worth it. So I think there's a lot of initial work that needs to be done before the sort of market entry work for Europe is done, which is very different from how you perhaps would think about Australia. I think it's a big country, but fairly homogeneous decision making. So maybe that's another region that you might want to think of. Just throwing it out there.
So probably Veena is saying that, hey, it's a complex market, so you need my help to enter into this market.
All right, no, it's complex. Listen, I tell you what I've heard. Well, for my I experienced that a bit, but on the maybe a less techy side of things, but really more merchandising traditional, is that like for example in the US, whatever you buy in Florida, your tastes in furniture or home goods in Florida is not the same as in the Midwest. Completely different styles and design and stuff like that. So I heard the same is in Europe. That what you see in Germany is not what you see in Italy, is not what you see in UK. Taste is different. And so those things need to be taken into account when introducing products to the market. So it's more on the merchandising side, I will say, less on the techie side of things. But yeah, by all means, let me extend this question to either of you. Like your experience, Nikita, you're in Thailand. I would love to pay you a visit. Never been to Thailand before. I've been to Hong Kong.
This I feel it's like Veena mentioned, it's like everywhere, like it's quite personalized, and here specifically in Thailand, I have seen like it's quite localized. So if you really need to enter, you need to understand the local needs and the demand, because people here even in retail, they are doing the ways they are doing it from long, and they are also liking the stuff quite differently, because if I have worked in the US based market, it's like changing quite fast, and adaptation is also quite fast. But in here, I have seen the adaptation takes times, but it's like based on the confidence and faith, slowly, but it gets into it. So it's quite localized and should be in their favor. So to proceed further, being an outsider, it feels very and welcomed here, but slowly building the faith that works in Thailand perfectly.
Okay, that's cool. Good to know. Anybody else has any type of input?
Maybe just a quick one, right? I think
Sure.
kind of speaking from Southeast Asia, the consumer ARPU is like way lower than the US. So I don't know, like kind of like it seems like your business model also depends on the revenue, right? So like the end revenue is probably way higher in North America compared to Southeast Asia. So maybe, that's another consideration, right? And I don't know to what extent, Western Europe is close up there. I would assume so. So maybe despite the market difficulties, right, and the market nuances, it's still worthwhile. But then, in Southeast Asia, it seems like it's more complicated, but then it's not necessarily, equally as rewarding, right? So I don't know about the kind of like the so-called product market fit in Southeast Asia, but Western Europe, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, sorry, just to add to that, I think one thing that came up when Nikita was talking about this, and Carl as well, I'm not saying there's no opportunity here. I think there is. I just think it's complex to unearth. And two, sales. So when you're selling this to retailers, you really need to change how you sell versus how you sell in the US. So having sold enterprise software to US companies as well as European companies, the way you sell, especially if you're doing a lot of cold outreaches and how you follow up on them, is very different here in Europe versus the US. So I think there's a few formalities around the whole sales process that you need to keep in mind as well, versus just the product and its fit with the market. So just adding that in.
Okay.
But-
I want to add one more follow-on question on that, Veena.
Before the next question, I just want to make a comment, but doesn't that mean that the value proposition and quantified value prop of HomeRoots will be even higher in Europe than in the US? Because US is very homogeneous market, right? Where you may not have to do a lot of manual work to put the product on different platforms, because the culture, the language, everything is pretty much the same. But if you have to put the similar kind of effort in Europe, you will require a lot of cultural nuances, understanding of cultural nuances, manual work, and things of that nature. But because of HomeRoots solution now, you could do all of that completely automated without wasting a lot of time, energy, a lot of sort of dollar into that. So do you think that the value prop will be higher for the solution in Europe than in the US?
I would actually agree with that, yes.
Okay.
And you get access to multiple customers. So if you have one proposition for Europe, and let's say this person is based in Belgium or Switzerland or even the UK, and they're getting access to the different markets, you have multiple retailers per country on that one platform. So yes, there's a lot of value for that one person who's signing up to using it.
Amazing. Fantastic. Thank you. Gil, I think you had a question.
Yes. How do we say? But my question is, if you said that the sales cycle, the sales process is different, because the mentality is, my understanding, the mentality is different. And I agree. I've been to UK multiple times, so I know that the mindset is different, even though sometimes they speak the same language
Yes.
per se.
Yeah.
Give me, if you don't mind, give me one or two more examples, like something that you thing that may work in the US, but it's a big no-no in UK, and or maybe even vice versa. But it doesn't matter. Just one something that comes to your mind.
Yeah.
Like, okay, don't do it. or do it.
Yeah. Well, so from what I've noticed, this is when you do a lot of cold outreaches, right? So in the US, the general advice is to follow up often. And then at one point you review it and go, okay, this person actually hasn't replied after, let's say, 6 or 7 follow-ups, and then you give up. Versus in I'm going to generalize to a very large extent. There might be people who think she's totally wrong, but in general in Europe, you need to be a lot more careful about follow-ups. I think following up twice in a week is a big no-no here. And people's attitudes towards getting some of these follow-up emails is you could actually end up ticking them off depending on who you're sending this to, versus someone in the US where they know that this happens and people are encouraged to do it, and they sort of see this as, oh, this person's a hustler, versus here, this person is just annoying. I'm going to categorize this person as spam, and then the entire company has categorized you as spam and you can't reach anyone else. So I think that's an area that you need to be careful about, as an example.
Veena, I actually agree with you 100% from personal experience on this multiple times. In both, I can speak to it from the IT world when I spent a couple of years back and forth in Europe for 3 years, mainly Central and Eastern Europe. I can tell you that's definitely seen as too much and a turn-off point, but also from a business development side of things. Again, I've experienced that in Spain, I experienced that in Switzerland, a bit in the UK, where there's a certain rhythm to things.
Yes.
And it's not the same rhythm as in the US. US is very, like, if I will not follow up quite frequently, vice versa, I will perceived as if I'm not too enthusiastic about this opportunity and I'm not really all in, and maybe I have too many other things. And therefore I'm not really serious about this opportunity, about this business corporation. And in Europe, again, that my experience, which I believe you had the same, but my experience, and again, I'm not talking about just business development, also I've seen it from the technology standpoint, IT integrations, with non-business people, that it's a big turnoff. That just now, what is the rhythm? What is the right rhythm?
You need to figure it out.
Yes, that's the $1 million question.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good insight. Good point. Cool. All right, that's all. That's really all I had, unless somebody else has to add anything. I'm all good.
Fantastic. No, thanks a lot, Gil. I think you did not sweat while getting roasted. And in complete honesty, I think this was extremely generous roasting that you got. But hey, thanks a lot for being such a fantastic moderator. And Veena, Nikita, thanks to Karl, Terry, and Faheem for being fantastic panelists today. We learned quite a lot from your insights. And I hope that we could do these kind of sessions offline, online, with a better frequency and more in the near future. Again, thanks a lot for your time. Hoping for a long-lasting, partnership, and support each other with initiatives and take it from there. Thank you. Thanks a lot for your time.
Wonderful.
And
thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good night. Good day.